All right, listeners, are you ready for another deep dive? We are going full speed ahead into some Premier League predictions. It's December 3rd, 2024. Game week 14 is just about to start, and we are going to take a look at some predictions from 90 Min. But it's not just about picking winners and losers. These predictions kind of give us a glimpse into the state of the league, who's hot, who's not, and what surprises might be waiting for us.
Yeah, it's like we're reading tea leaves, but with football stats.
Yeah.
We're looking beyond just like individual match results.
Yeah.
And we are trying to find those kind of underlying narratives, momentum shifts, those tactical battles that are brewing. It's all part of a bigger story.
All right, so to kind of set the stage, big picture, Liverpool are at the top of the table. 9 points clear, looking really dominant right now.
Definitely. But there's a twist. Manchester City, who are usually the ones kind of setting the pace, they're in a slump, winless in their last 7 matches. So that raises a really big question. Is this Liverpool's title to lose, or can City pull off one of those miracle comebacks?
I mean, that's what's so great about the Premier League, right? Anything can happen. Speaking of unpredictable, though, let's jump into Tuesday's matches. We've got Ipswich Town going up against Crystal Palace. Both teams only have 2 wins this season. And get this, both those wins came against Tottenham.
Isn't that a weird stat? I mean, it says everything about Tottenham's kind of inconsistency this season. But for Ipswich, this could be a good opportunity for them. Palace are vulnerable, especially on the road. So if Ipswich can control the midfield and exploit some of Palace's weaknesses on defense, they might be able to grab that second win.
Okay. Next up on Tuesday, Leicester City, with a brand new manager, Ruud van Nistelrooy, are going up against West Ham. And West Ham just got hammered 5-2 by Arsenal. Do you think we're going to see that classic new manager bounce from Leicester?
I mean, maybe, but it's not just about having a new manager. Van Nistelrooy, he really loves that attacking style of football. And with Vardy, he's still a threat. Leicester could really exploit West Ham's defense, but then again, West Ham, they're going to want to bounce back after that crushing defeat. I think this match could be a goal fest.
All right, Wednesday is a packed day. 6 matches. Let's start with Everton versus Wolves. Both teams have been struggling. Everton, they need to turn things around after their pretty heavy loss to Manchester United. But Wolves, they have a dangerous attacker, Mikhitas Kuna.
This one feels like it could be a real tactical battle. Everton will probably try to play deep and hit Wolves on the counterattack, using Demarai Gray's speed. But Wolves have Neves. He's got so much creativity. And then there's Kuna, who's always a goal-scoring threat. I think whoever can impose their style of play is going to come out on top in this one.
Okay, next. The big question. Can Man City break out of their slump? They are going up against Nottingham Forest. Forest's Chris Wood, he's been finding his form, which could spell trouble for City's defense. They haven't been looking too solid at the back lately.
Yeah, this is a must-win game for City. If they want to stay in that title race, they have to find a way to reignite their attack. But Forest, they're a well-organized team.
Yeah.
And they can be dangerous on the break. It's not just a match. It's a test of City's, character.
We've got the clash of the Titans now. Liverpool going up against Newcastle. Newcastle have been a little bit inconsistent, but they have the potential to cause an upset, especially at home.
Liverpool, they're definitely the favorites.
Yeah.
But Newcastle have been really hard to beat at St. James's Park. They've got that passionate crowd and their high-pressing style. That could disrupt Liverpool's rhythm if Almiron and Joel Embiid, if they can exploit the space behind Liverpool's fullbacks, Newcastle could pull off a shock result.
All right, and then we have Southampton taking on Chelsea. Chelsea are looking like a real contender for that Champions League spot. Can Southampton hold off their attack?
Southampton's defense has been struggling. And Chelsea's attack, they're on fire right now. Sterling and Havertz are in top form. So if they can find space between Southampton's lines, it could be a long night for the Saints. But Southampton have shown that they can be dangerous on the counter. So Chelsea, they can't get complacent.
Okay, now for the big one, the North London Derby. Arsenal versus Manchester United. Arsenal are on a roll, but Manchester United just got their first win under new manager Ruben Amorim last week.
Oh, this is always a fiery encounter. And both teams have some serious attacking talent. Arsenal have that home advantage, and the momentum is on their side.
Yeah.
And they seem to have found that system that gets the best out of their attacking players.
I mean, Saka and Martinelli on the wings have been electric, and Ødegaard is pulling the strings in midfield. It's going to be hard for Manchester United to contain them.
I mean, Manchester United will be a threat on the counterattack, Rashford's pace. But their midfield just doesn't have that same level of creativity or control to dominate possession. They might snag a goal, but I think Arsenal just have too much firepower.
Okay. To round off Wednesday's action, we have Aston Villa, who haven't won since mid-October. They are up against Brentford. Brentford have the best home record in the league, but they haven't won a single away game.
Aston Villa's struggles are a bit of a head-scratcher. I mean, they've got so much talent, they need to unlock their attacks somehow and get Watkins scoring again. Brentford, on the other hand, they really rely on their home form. They just haven't been able to create chances on the road. On paper, this is a match that Villa should win, but their lack of confidence could really hurt them.
All right, let's move on to Thursday's matches. First up, Fulham taking on a Brighton side that has been flying high. Brighton are in fantastic form, but Fulham, they managed to draw against Tottenham last time out. They shouldn't be underestimated.
Brighton are just a joy to watch. They play such fluid attacking football, but they can be vulnerable defensively. And Mitrovic, he's a handful for any defense. If Fulham can disrupt Brighton's build-up play and get the ball to Mitrovic, they could cause an upset.
Okay, and last but definitely not least, we've got Bournemouth going up against Tottenham. Tottenham, they have a great goal difference, but they've been really inconsistent. Can Bournemouth, who are coming off a big win against Wolves, pull off another upset?
Tottenham, they're a team that could beat anyone on their day, but they also tend to make those mistakes, defensive errors. Lack of focus. Bournemouth are playing with confidence. They've got nothing to lose. If they press Tottenham high and force those mistakes, they might just steal a win.
Okay, so we've covered all 10 matches for Game Week 14. A lot to unpack here. And as we've seen, plenty of potential for upsets. What are your initial thoughts?
Well, one thing that really stands out to me is just how many of these matches could go either way. The Premier League is so competitive this season. Feels like any team could beat any other team on any given day.
Yeah, and that leads us perfectly into the next part of our deep dive. Let's take a look at what 90 Min is predicting for each of these matches, and we'll see if their analysis lines up with our initial thoughts.
Sounds good to me. That's where it gets fun.
All right, let's get into these 90 Min predictions, starting with Tuesday's match, Ipswich Town and Crystal Palace. 90 Min is predicting a narrow 1-0 win for Ipswich.
Interesting. I guess they're banking on Ipswich taking advantage of being at home. And, Palace haven't had the best luck on the road.
Yeah, Palace have been struggling away from home. And Ipswich, while not the strongest team, have shown some potential in attack.
True. Plus, if you look at Palace's recent away games, they've given up a lot of chances from set pieces. Ipswich have a couple of big guys in the box that could cause some real problems.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we can't forget that Palace is still trying to figure things out without Wilfried Zaha. They haven't really found a way to replace his creativity and goal-scoring ability.
Right, that can.
Okay, moving on to Leicester versus West Ham. 90 Min is predicting a 2-2 draw.
Yeah. I can see that happening. Leicester, with Van Nistelrooy, are probably going to play a more open style. But their defense is still a work in progress. And West Ham are going to be looking for redemption after that loss to Arsenal.
Yeah, for sure. West Ham's attack with Bowen and Antonio will definitely be looking to take advantage of any defensive weaknesses. But Leicester have Vardy's experience. And Maddison, who can control the game, they could easily match West Ham goal for goal.
Yeah, this one feels like a toss-up to me. A draw wouldn't be surprising at all.
Okay, Wednesday's matches. Starting with Everton versus Wolves. 90 Min thinks this one will end in a 1-1 draw.
Not sure I completely agree with that one. Both teams have been pretty solid defensively, but they've also struggled to create a lot of clear chances. This one could be a real nail-biter with very few goals.
Yeah, you're right. Hard to imagine either team just running away with it.
I think it could easily be a 0-0 or 1-0 type of game.
With both teams needing those points, they might focus more on not losing than on going all out for a win.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. 90 Min is predicting a possible upset. Man City and Nottingham Forest, a 1-1 draw.
Well, City have been so up and down lately, it's hard to rule anything out. But I'm still not ready to bet against them, even against a well-organized Forest side.
Yeah, it's tough to imagine City's attack being completely shut down.
True. But Forest have been resilient, and they have a way of grinding out results.
And Chris Wood has been great for them up front. He's a physical presence. He could cause some problems for City's defense.
Absolutely.
Okay. For Liverpool's match against Newcastle, 90 Min is going with a 2-1 win for Liverpool.
Yeah, that's probably a safe bet, considering Liverpool's quality and their recent record against Newcastle. But I think this one could be closer than people expect.
Yeah, Newcastle at home, they're a different beast. That high-energy pressing could disrupt Liverpool's passing. And if they get an early goal, things could get really interesting.
For sure. And Liverpool haven't been as strong defensively as they have been in the past. There are definitely some weaknesses that Newcastle could take advantage of.
All right, next up, Southampton versus Chelsea. 90 Min is predicting a comfortable 3-0 win for Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the most predictable outcome of the week? Chelsea's attack is just too much for most teams to handle right now, and Southampton's defense has not been looking good.
Yeah, Chelsea have so many options going forward.
Yeah.
Sterling, Havertz, Mount. They can attack from anywhere.
Exactly. I don't see Southampton keeping a clean sheet, let alone getting anything out of this match.
It's hard to disagree with that, unless Southampton can somehow park the bus and frustrate Chelsea.
Yeah,
But even then,
this could get out of hand.
it could.
Okay, the North London Derby. 90 Min is backing Arsenal for a 3-1 win over Manchester United.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Arsenal, they've got the home advantage, they've got the momentum, and they've figured out a system that really works for their attacking players.
Yeah, Saka and Martinelli have been on fire on the wings, and Ødegaard is running the show in midfield. Manchester United is going to have a tough time containing them. Manchester United could be a threat on the counter with Rashford's speed, but their midfield isn't creative enough or in control enough to dominate possession. They might get a goal, but I think Arsenal are just going to be too much for them.
All right, Aston Villa versus Brentford. 90 Min is predicting a 2-2 draw.
I think that scoreline kind of sums up how unpredictable both of these teams are. Villa have the talent to score goals, but they struggle to defend consistently, and Brentford can be dangerous going forward, but they rely too much on set pieces.
Yeah, it's a tough one to call. We don't know which version of each team will show up. If Watkins is on form for Villa, they could easily win. But if Brentford can capitalize on those set pieces and counterattacks,
They could steal a point, or even a win.
All right, Thursday's matches. 90 Min is predicting a 2-1 win for Brighton against Fulham.
Yeah, that makes sense. Brighton are playing with a lot of confidence, and they have a very clear style of play. Fulham can be dangerous on the counter, but they often have trouble controlling games against teams that are technically better than them.
Brighton's midfield with Caicedo and Mac Allister is one of the best in the league. They'll probably dominate possession and create a lot of chances. Fulham will need to be at their best defensively and hope that Mitrovic can do something special.
I think the biggest challenge for Brighton will be avoiding complacency. They've been playing so well. It's easy to underestimate a team like Fulham, especially with someone like Mitrovic who can score out of nowhere.
Okay, last prediction. Bournemouth versus Tottenham. 90 Min is predicting a 2-1 win for Bournemouth.
Wow, that's a bold prediction. I mean, Tottenham can be inconsistent, but it's hard to imagine them losing to Bournemouth, who are fighting to avoid relegation.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Tottenham's attack is just too strong. I don't think Bournemouth can shut them down completely.
True. But then again, you never know. Maybe Bournemouth will catch Tottenham on an off day and sneak in a goal on the counterattack. It's the Premier League. Anything can happen.
Anything is possible. All right, so there you have it. All the 90 Min predictions for Game Week 14. It's going to be a really interesting weekend, full of surprises. But now I think it's time to go a little bit deeper.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's move past just reading the predictions and really get into the tactics, the individual battles, and the potential upsets that could really shake things up.
Because that's what this deep dive is all about, finding those hidden stories, giving you the insight you need to really understand the Premier League. Okay, so we've talked about the overall picture, we've looked at the individual matches, and we've even debated some of those 90 Min predictions. Now let's think about those things that could really make this Game Week 1 to remember. What are those hidden stories, those potential upsets, those things that could just throw a wrench into everything?
Yeah, that's where things get really interesting. One match that I'm keeping an eye on is the Everton-Wolves game. Both teams really need these points, and the pressure's on, especially for Everton. They need to bounce back after that tough loss to Manchester United. If their confidence is shaken, Wolves could really take advantage of that.
Right, and we can't forget about Matheus Cunha. He's a real threat for Wolves. He's fast, he's got skills, and he knows how to score goals. If Neves and Podence can get the ball to him, Everton's defense could be in for a rough time.
Yeah, exactly. But then again, if Everton can channel that frustration into a good performance, they could really surprise Wolves.
So you think that's one to watch for a potential upset?
Definitely.
What else is catching your eye?
Well, the Southampton-Chelsea game is interesting, too. On paper, it looks like an easy win for Chelsea. But Southampton have a history of pulling off upsets against the big teams. Remember that draw against Liverpool earlier this season?
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Right.
And they've got James Ward-Prowse. He can change a game completely with his set pieces. If Chelsea aren't careful, they could easily concede a goal from a free kick or a corner.
Yeah, and think about the psychology of this match. Chelsea are full of confidence right now. But if Southampton can frustrate them early on, get the crowd going, you never know what could happen.
That's football for you. Sometimes it's those little things. A moment of brilliance, a lapse in concentration, Those are the things that can really decide a match. Okay, I got to ask you about this prediction that has everyone talking. 90 Min is saying that Bournemouth is going to beat Tottenham.
You know,
Yeah.
I think that's a tough one to believe. Even when Tottenham are playing poorly, they still have too much attacking power for Bournemouth to handle. I mean, Harry Kane is still one of the best strikers in the world. And Son Heung-min can score goals out of nowhere.
Yeah, I agree. Bournemouth would have to play their best defensive game ever.
And even then, it might not be enough,
But hey, stranger things have happened.
right? That's why we love this game.
So as we head into Game Week 14, there's so much to look forward to. Title contenders facing tough challenges, mid-table battles that could go either way, teams fighting to avoid relegation.
Yeah, it's going to be a weekend full of drama, excitement, and those unforgettable moments.
Yeah.
You know, the ones that make the Premier League the best league in the world.
Okay, so the big question. Out of all the predictions we've talked about today, which one do you think is most likely to be wrong?
That's a tough one. You know what? I'm going to stick with the Bournemouth win over Tottenham. I know I said it's a long shot, but something about that match just feels like an upset could happen. Maybe it's Tottenham's inconsistency. Maybe it's Bournemouth's momentum after beating Wolves. But I think we might be in for a surprise.
That would definitely shake things up. It would be a great story. A team fighting relegation, beating one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah. It would be a reminder that in the Premier League, anything can happen.